Hi, thank you for joining us today at Tax Talk UK. I'm going to talk about making tax digital. Before I do, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and to turn on the notifications. That way you'll be able to easily refer back to this content if you need to, as well as looking at our other content to help you with your business. And of course, to be notified of new content and new guidance or updates as we upload them. Thank you. So on to making tax digital. You'll often hear this or see this abbreviated to MTD for short. But what is it? What does it mean? And how does it affect you and your business? So making tax digital, quite simply, is the name given to the government initiative that seeks to improve and modernise the process of returns ultimately for all taxes. This will mean more accurate information available, more timely returns to HMRC, and for taxpayers, better predictions of the liabilities that are going to be arising. Making tax digital, quite simply, just means keeping your accounting records digitally on your computer in a way that is designed to be able to submit the returns to HMRC in a way that they require, and to know that it is in a way that they require. You will need to check that any software that you're using is MTD compliant. And the government plans mean that in time, all of the returns for all of the taxes that you are registered for your business will be required to be submitted digitally. So with making tax digital in mind, we do understand the differing challenges that each individual business will be faced with in terms of bringing their records and bringing their accounts into the digital era. And ultimately, that was our whole motivation behind setting up Tax Talk UK, and help you better understand making tax digital, what it means for you personally and for your business, what you need to do and how you can go about that, and learning the things that you will need to be able to do. We also have a series of bite-sized videos to help you use making tax digital software, and the 4 software providers that we cover are QuickBooks, Sage Business Cloud, Free Agent, and Xero. And in the description, I will post the links where you can find for whichever of those 4 providers that you need the guidance for, where you can find the catalogue of the videos that are available. Please do let us know if there's more content. We are adding to the guidance demos, and obviously would welcome knowing what further guidance is required, and so that we can make that available for you. So thinking about the different taxes that have already been launched that the government plans for MTD. VAT, for example, was the first tax where companies were mandated, which means that it was mandatory for them to submit their VAT returns through making tax digital. And that initially applied only to VAT registered businesses over the threshold. Therefore, those that were obliged to register for VAT, and in a few days' time, VAT registered businesses below the threshold will also need to now be keeping their records and complying with the MTD rules. So pretty much now any VAT registered business should be at least have an idea of how they are going to be conforming to MTD. The next tax to be mandated for making tax digital is going to be income tax. It's often referred to as MTD for ITSA, which is making tax digital for income tax for self-assessment. So that is due to come in April 24. It was initially April 23, but during the COVID pandemic, it was pushed back a year. So that gives you an extra year to prepare, to practice with your MTD software. From that date, it will be self-employed businesses, i.e. sole traders, and private landlords with a turnover of over £10,000 a year. Some businesses and agents are already using MTD for ITSA as part of the trial, which HMRC put in place to obviously make sure that there's no issues or minimise any issues before it launches, and everyone is required to comply. So, of course, we just talked previously about MTD for VAT, and as we talked about, most VAT registered businesses are already having to keep their records and comply with MTD, and the rest will shortly need to. So if you're a self-employed sole trader and VAT registered, then of course you already are going to be complying. So you don't really need to do a lot else before it comes live. So as part of making tax digital for income tax, the idea will be, rather than at the moment just to send one annual tax return at the end of the year, as you know, the tax year ends, and then you have until the 31st of January in the following year to submit your tax return. The idea will be to send for smaller details of the activity, the income and expenditure for the business or for the landlord, so that there's a build-up of that throughout the year, and a better projection of the liability for the year. And then at the end of the year, there will be just an adjusting return for anything like capital allowances and those sorts of things that wouldn't necessarily be reported on the quarterly basis. So my sort of thoughts with it is, although we have still 2 years before we have to comply with making tax digital for income tax, that and landlords, that we actually take the opportunity to, in our own time now, be looking at the different software that's available to us, looking at the costings of that, deciding which is going to suit our businesses and our own skill set the best. You can then start to use that. As soon as you've decided, I would say, if you were using it now, for example, it means that you have 2 full years of being able to use the software without the pressure of having to submit MTD returns to HMRC, and then come April 24, when you're mandated to do so, you'll know what you're doing, you'll have ironed out any issues, and as I say, you'll have been able to do so without the added pressure of having to make returns from the software. Although of course you can do so with most of the software will allow you to submit your self-assessment tax return if you need to. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a series of bite-sized guidance videos, demos for 4 of the main software providers, and you can find the links for those in the description. In terms of corporation tax, which, as you will know, relates to limited companies and the tax due directly from those, that will be the final planned for at the moment by the government. Late 2020, early 2021, the government started to publish consultations, which, as you all know, is where they seek feedback on their plans, issues that anyone can think of that may arise in preparation for bringing in the new policies. So in terms of when you'll be mandated to use or comply with MTD for corporation tax, no actual date has been set, and the government have said that that will not be before April 26 at the earliest. So again, a little bit of time, but it's worth knowing it is on the horizon. So it makes sense to start looking at that as soon as possible. And again, if you are a VAT registered company, then the chances are you will already be ready anyway. So as well as thinking about the MTD software that you will use to keep your accounts and to and your accounting records, there are also other tools that can help you on your digital journey. So for example, you will find that there are several software companies that provide software that will that you will scan or upload your invoices, your purchase invoices to, and they will like have photo recognition software that will translate that, and you can then import it directly into your software. So that can, especially if you have a lot of invoices to enter, that can save a lot of time. There's other things as well those sorts of software platforms can provide in terms of reconciling your supplier statements, holding your invoices digitally, to save on and having to have the paper-based versions, although you have to remember that if you stop subscribing, you will no longer have access. So that is something that you have to consider if you're using it for that function. And on our website and in the description below, I'll give you some links to the software that we're familiar with and where you can look to have discounts and free trial, so you can sort of see for yourself how it works. You may also want to look at the digital bank accounts that are available. Historically, to take a business account with a traditional high street bank will incur banking charges that can mean, for a lot of small businesses, it makes that prohibitive for them. There's not actually, if you're a sole trader, there's not an actual reason why you would have to have a separate business account, but it is good practice to keep the finances separate. It keeps things tidier, it makes it easier to manage, it makes it easier to make sure that nothing's missed. So the digital bank accounts, of course, they're designed to be part of the digital era, so they'll connect with your software. Although the traditional high street banks, those bank accounts, you can connect with your software as well. But the apps are designed to be able to manage your finances on the go. And because they're digital banks with no high street branches, then there's no charges on that. So they become, therefore, much more attractive for a lot of small businesses that don't actually need to have a branch where they can go in, because their needs are fairly straightforward. Again, we'll give links to the digital bank that we're partnered with, in order to be able to access the information, to have a look for yourself of whether that's right for your business. A separate note on private landlords. Private landlords and with an income above £10,000 a year will also need to be complying with MTD from April 2024. whether you manage your properties yourself or through a letting agent, we can highly recommend joining the National Residential Landlords Association, where lots of information is available for landlords. The membership is really great value. Annual membership currently is £75 in the for a year, sorry. In the description, we'll put a link to their website and also a discount code where you can receive £15 off in your first year. But also the information that comes out is very informative, and as MTD becomes closer, then obviously more information will become available on that, as well as from the general software providers. And once that happens, we'll start to put more demo content specifically aimed at landlords, and to be able to determine which is the best software, which in terms of landlords, it's a little bit early to be able to say that at the current time, because some of the providers are still working on their landlord specific solutions, and a lot of the software that is aimed at small businesses, whilst it can be used for landlords, it's a little bit complex and a little bit fiddly, and hopefully specific landlord software will become available at an affordable cost to landlords. So hopefully this has helped you to understand what MTD Making Tax Digital is all about. Has given you a little bit of an idea of how it will impact you and the time frame of when you need to be ready, as well as understanding why it makes good sense to start looking at that as soon as possible. And as I mentioned, in the description, we'll give the links to our guidance videos that are specifically for the four larger software providers that we've uploaded so far, and that is for QuickBooks, Free Agent, Sage Business Cloud, and for Xero. Well, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget, if there is more guidance specifically aimed at making tax digital that you'd like to see, please do let us know, and we'll endeavour to provide that for you. Thank you for watching, and please do remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications. Thank you. Goodbye.